Hi boys and girls, my name is Mrs. Parsons. Many of you have already had class with me and know who I am, but there's a few new friends and some of my new kindergarten friends who haven't met me yet. I'm excited to be your art teacher this year, and even though art's going to be a little bit different, we're still going to have a lot of fun. So the first project we're going to work on is a little bit different than the rest of the year because everybody in the entire school is going to be doing this first project. We're going to start things off kind of slow and easy, and then from here on out, each grade level will have its own project. But to start, we're going to start by drawing a portrait of your family. Now you can tell my family probably doesn't look exactly like this. It's more of a cartoon or an animated or a caricature version of my family. But that's what's going to make it fun because everybody's family is different. So everybody's drawing is going to be a little bit different. And either way, it's going to show your family. So first thing we're going to need is a piece of white paper. You're also going to need some pencils, regular pencil with a nice point, an eraser, and if you have a ruler, that would be great. If you don't have a ruler, that's okay too. Just find something with a straight edge, a cardboard box, the straight edge of a tablet or a book also works. Just something to draw a nice straight edge. We're not measuring, so a ruler isn't necessary, but something with a straight edge is just what we need. So gather those things and we'll get started on the first few steps of the project, and go from there. All right, so the first step of this project, the first thing we need to do is we need to draw this horizon line. And a horizon line is the imaginary line where the sky and the ground meet. So let's say you look outside your back door into whatever might be out back. You might see grass meeting the sky, or maybe there's trees meeting the sky, or whatever meets the sky, that imaginary line that you kind of see, because there's not really a line there, so we call it an imaginary line. In the art world, it's called the horizon line. So the first thing we want to do is draw the horizon line. What you need to do is hold your paper vertical like an ice cream cone, not horizontal like a banana split, vertical like an ice cream cone, okay? And this is where the ruler or something with a straight edge comes in. You're gonna go about halfway, it doesn't have to be exact, about halfway, and draw a line across. Now we have that horizon line and we know about where the sky is going to be, about where the grass or dirt or whatever we're going to make the ground is going to be. Now we're ready to start drawing people. So what you want to do is start by drawing just the heads. That's going to get us pretty far and be a good start of knowing where to draw everything else for the bodies, because everything's connected to the head. So think about who's in your family. How many adults? How many kids? Are there any pets that you want to draw? I have a dog, but I didn't draw him in my picture because dogs can sometimes be a little hard to draw. Animals can sometimes be a little more difficult. So I just focused on the people. But if you want to try and draw your pet, please, by all means, go ahead. But it's not necessary if you don't want to. So, first thing we're going to do is the heads. Now, adult heads are a little bit bigger than kid heads. Think about how big your head is compared to your mom, your dad, or whoever's around in your house. Your head's a little bit smaller. So we're going to start with the adult heads first. And for the heads, we're just going to draw an oval. So I'm going to start with, would be my husband's head. And since he's really tall, I'm going to draw his head up here in the sky. I'm just making a pretty big oval. You want to make sure it's at least the size of a quarter. So if you have a quarter or ask somebody in your house to help you find a quarter, you want to be able to fit a quarter in there. And then I'm going to draw my head. Now, I'm not quite as tall as my husband, so my head's going to be down a little bit. If we were the same height, I would move my head up so that our heads would be even. Okay, so I have my head and my husband's head. Now I'm ready to start my kids. I have 3 children. I have an older child, a child in the middle, and then a younger child. So they're not all the same height either. So we need to make their heads different heights, but their heads are all pretty much about the same size. So I'm going to put my oldest son, put his head down a bit because he's not quite as tall as I am, and he's definitely not quite as tall as his dad. But his head is also a little bit smaller. So you can see this oval is a bit smaller than this oval and a bit smaller than this oval. But not too small, because we still want to make sure we have room to put their eyes and their nose and their mouth and everything in. And then my second child, my other son, is a little bit shorter than my oldest. So I'm going to make another oval just a little bit lower than that one. And my daughter is just a little bit shorter than her two brothers. So she's a little bit shorter too. Now you can see I left a lot of space between my ovals. And that's because I want to have room to draw some of their body. And if I had all of my ovals pushed tight against each other, I wouldn't have room to draw their bodies. Okay? So I have my ovals. I have room for their bodies. And they're going to overlap a little bit, just like my son here did, overlapped our arms and a little bit of the legs. But not so much that I don't have room to draw anything or that I can't tell things apart. So I have heads. Next thing I do need to draw is add the neck. Now the neck is really easy. You're going to draw just two little lines, two little straight lines at the bottom of each oval. Let me erase that line a little bit. That oval got a little wonky. So now my heads all have a neck. And you can see the lines aren't really long. They're pretty short. And they're pretty close together. We don't want to put the necklines all the way here at the ends of the oval, because then that looks like hair. They need to be closer together in the middle of the oval. Okay? The next part is to start drawing the shoulders of the person, whether it's your mom, your dad, your grandma, your grandpa, whoever you chose to draw in your family. So what you're going to do is we want to draw the line for where their shirt goes against the neck first. That's a good place to start. So all I'm going to do is draw a small curved line. For my younger friends, think of it as a little smiley face connecting the lines on your neck. So if this is my neck, I'm just making a little smiley face to connect those two lines. Okay? Little smiley face or a small curved line, whichever you prefer. Just like that. They all have necks. We can tell where their shirt is going to be. Now we're ready to start their shoulders. And the shoulders are also just kind of curved lines, except instead of a smiley face, we're going to make more of a curved line going down. So think of it as like a rainbow curve. This one's coming up, this one's going down. There's my rainbow with that little smile in the middle. So it just kind of curves down on each side, or goes up and then goes back down, depending on how you want to look at it. Now the trick is these shoulders should not go out past the head too much. Like this one went out a little bit, maybe too far. So I'm going to go back and just bring it back in. But it should be, oops, so did this one. Should just go out past the head a little bit. Not too super far. Because otherwise it's going to make your family member look like the Incredible Hulk or something. And I don't think any of us have the Incredible Hulk living at our house. All right, so now I have my shoulders. The next part is we want to skip ahead a little bit, not by much, just a little bit. And we're going to draw where their shirt is going to stop, like the bottom of their t-shirt. So for my husband, the bottom of his shirt is probably going to be about here. We don't want it to be all the way up here because we'd be cutting off most of his belly that way. So just where you think the bottom of their shirt should be. And I'm just making a little mark for now for my own reference. And then I'm going to draw a straight line across. Now, we might end up erasing some of this line if you make your line a little bit too long, but that's okay. So now I see where the bottom of each of our shirts are going to be. And I'm going to draw lines up to meet the shoulders there. So this almost makes it look like a rectangle with the top of the shoulders. If it looks too much like a square, you should probably move the bottom of your shirt down a little bit because you might have made it a little too short. All right, so now everybody has shoulders. We have their chest and their bellies. Now we need to add arms. And for right now, just for this lesson, we're just gonna add the tops of their sleeves. Just their sleeves here. We'll worry about the arms and things next time, but for right now, that's all that we're gonna work on. So I'm just gonna go, make that line come down a little bit more, and then connect it to the shirt. So that looks a lot just like a triangle, connecting to the shirt there at the side. I'm doing that to each person on both sides. So that's all the steps that we're going to work on this week. We are going to continue working on this project again next week. So even if you have me for a live lesson where we get to have art together, we're going to be working on this next time. So if you do the steps that I showed you today, you'll be all set for next week. If you did not finish these steps for today yet, work on getting them done by the next time you have art so that you're all caught up and ready to go for the next few steps, because the next few steps are going to show us drawing how we're going to draw the rest of the body and kind of go into the background a little bit too probably. In the meantime, if you have a folder or a big envelope, it doesn't have to be anything new. It can be from last year. It can be an empty envelope from something that was sent to your house. If you have your portfolio from last year, or even a big piece of paper that you can just fold in half to make a folder. Something that you can keep your art projects in to keep them nice and safe, and in case there's little pieces in the next few projects, keep everything together so that each time we need to pull it out, everything's together and ready to go and nothing gets lost. Grab that, get that ready. That would be a huge help. Like I said, a lot of you have your portfolios from last year, which makes me so happy. Grab those portfolios and use them at home. I'm really sorry that I didn't get to give you a portfolio for this year, but we're gonna make something work until we get together in person at school. So grab that, put this in there for next time, and I'll see you next time with the next steps on this project. Have a great week.